So friends, as Donald Trump's sentencing date approaches, his deny everything strategy might actually help him pave his own way right into a jail cell. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, on July 11th, Donald Trump will be sentenced for his crimes. 34 felony convictions. Now, I handled a lot of sentencing hearings in my 30 years as a prosecutor, and you know what judges look for most in a defendant come sentencing time? Acceptance of responsibility. You think Donald Trump is going to accept responsibility for his crimes? When pigs fly. Let's have a look at some of the new reporting. This from Eric Tucker of the Associated Press. Headline, How Trump's Deny Everything strategy could hurt him at sentencing. And that article begins, Donald Trump has had plenty to say since his hush money trial conviction last week. He's claimed the case was rigged, incorrectly linked President Joe Biden to the state prosecution, called the star witness against him a sleazebag, and said the judge was a devil and highly conflicted. What he hasn't done is utter any variation of the words that might benefit him most come sentencing time next month. I'm sorry. It's a truism of the criminal justice system that defendants hoping for lenient treatment at their sentencing are expected to take responsibility for their actions, even express remorse. But that flies in the face of Trump's longtime refusal to acknowledge any wrongdoing, a tone that he often strikes to portray strength and present himself as a fighter under ceaseless attack. While the strategy may resonate with his most loyal political supporters, it failed during his New York criminal trial and could complicate his legal team's efforts to avoid a tough sentence. Indeed, a sentence that will almost certainly involve prison time. My editorial edition. The article continues, quote, the fact, I think, that he has no remorse, quite the opposite, he continues to deny his guilt, is going to hurt him at sentencing, said Jeffrey Cohen, an associate professor at Boston College Law School and a former federal prosecutor in Massachusetts. Quote, it's one of the things that the judge can really point to that everybody is aware of, that he just denies this, and he can use that as a strong basis for his sentence. Trump is set to be sentenced on July 11 by Judge Juan Merchan, who raised the specter of jail time during the trial after the former president racked up thousands of dollars in fines for violating a gag order. He has been the target of Trump's relentless ire. The 34 felony counts of falsifying business records Trump was found guilty of are charges punishable by up to 4 years in prison. It's not clear whether prosecutors intend to seek imprisonment. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg dodged a question on that Thursday, or whether Judge Merchan would sentence him behind bars even if that's the recommendation. He will have the option to address the judge at his sentencing hearing, though he's not required to do so. And some legal experts have said it would be inadvisable for him, Donald Trump, to speak at a sentencing hearing. Oh, but how I hope Donald Trump speaks at length, loudly, at his sentencing hearing. Again, my addition. He, Trump, did not testify in his own defense at trial, something he later suggested had to do with concerns that prosecutors would try to catch him in a trivial falsehood. Quote, if he turns around and blames the court, attacks the prosecutors, decries this as a witch hunt, lies, you should have no misgiving. There will be consequences, and there should be consequences, said Jeremy Saland, a former assistant district attorney in Manhattan. So friends, when I was a prosecutor representing the people, or in the case of a federal prosecutor representing the United States of America, the interest of the people of the United States, there was one sentencing argument that I would pretty much always make, and it involved the defendant's rehabilitative potential. How much jail time might be appropriate for the offenses of conviction and for the particular offender, because every offender is different. And one of the main questions come sentencing time was, does the defendant accept responsibility for their crimes? And I will tell you, many defendants at sentencing wisely choose to accept responsibility for their crimes, show remorse, apologize. And my sentencing argument depended in large part on whether a defendant did or did not accept responsibility for his crimes. So when it comes to acceptance of responsibility, I would argue, Your Honor, as we all know, acceptance of responsibility is the first step on the road to rehabilitation. And this defendant, Donald Trump, has failed to take that first step. He steadfastly refuses to accept responsibility for his crimes, crimes he inarguably committed. We all saw the evidence. The jury unanimously, definitively, and fairly quickly convicted Donald Trump of the 34 felony crimes he committed, and he absolutely refuses to take responsibility for his crimes. He blames everybody else for his own misconduct. He blames witnesses and sometimes their family members. He blames judges and their staff. He blames prosecutors. He blames jurors. He blames everybody but himself. He refuses to accept responsibility for his own misconduct, for his own crimes. So how much rehabilitative potential does Donald Trump have? None. Zero. No remorse, never apologized, never accepted responsibility. So that does not bode well for his rehabilitative potential. And it sends the signal loud and clear, Your Honor, that Donald Trump has earned himself, richly earned himself, a lengthy prison term. That's the only way to not only hold Donald Trump accountable for his crimes, punish him for the crimes he committed to try to gain unfair advantage in a presidential election, but as you well know, Your Honor, one of the accepted principles of sentencing is not only specific deterrence, deterring Donald Trump specifically, but general deterrence. And if ever the principle of general deterrence was important, it is in this case. Because we can't afford to have tomorrow's Donald Trump, follow his playbook, commit felony crimes in violation of the laws of the state of New York to try to gain unfair advantage in a state election, in a presidential election. We can't afford to have our country suffer through what it has suffered through at the hands of Donald Trump. General deterrence. Others must be deterred. Donald Trump has told us, his words, he intends to be a dictator on day one if reelected. If ever there needs to be general deterrence to stop others, to send the message loud and clear, we won't tolerate this, not in New York, not in the United States of America. A candidate committing felony crime after felony crime after felony crime after felony crime to try to steal an election, to try to hide deeply damaging information from the American voters. In a very real sense, Donald Trump committed crimes that robbed the American voters of the full value of our vote. You bet he needs to be punished. You bet he needs to be specifically deterred. But boy, if ever there needed to be general deterrence of others who would choose the path that Donald Trump chose, it is in this case. And that's why Donald Trump has earned, through his misconduct, courtesy of the crimes he's committed, he has earned a lengthy period of incarceration. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.